Wait a sec. Okay, we're live. I'm excited to welcome all of you to this talk about Vertex AI and PaLM with one of the Google principal technologists, Naresh. And Naresh, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Katie. Hello, everyone. I am Naresh Jasotani. I'm a principal technologist at Google. So let me quickly do a quick introduction. I'm based out of Detroit, in Michigan. I lead the auto space. I've published a couple of books, Blockchain Beyond Basics and Adopting TensorFlow for the Real World AI. And I work very closely with Oakland University on creating machine learning courses. I'm a YouTuber as well. So with that said, quickly let's jump on to the big commerce DevRel. This is what we're going to do today. We are going to learn Vertex AI and PaLM. We'll see how you can integrate those with LangChain. I'm going to also take you through the console of Google Cloud Platform for you to understand how things work. If you have questions, obviously feel free to chime in, and Katie or Heather, they're going to let us know the questions and we'll try to answer as and when we can. And today, please ask questions that can help you for hackathon. So for example, if you have an idea in mind, bring up those questions and how you do it in Google Cloud, or how could you utilize a model versus other. So with that said, let's move on. All right. So I'm not going to touch a little, deeper on large language models now because everybody is aware. But just wanted to let you know that whenever you are thinking about large language models, think about at least these three scenarios. You could search on your data, have a conversation with your data, and then generate content like images from text or text to images, speech, and things like that. So these three could be your basis of a use case. So search, conversation, content generation, and how you could utilize it is is what the hackathon is all about. All right. So let's move on and talk about what is Gen AI and how it all comes together. The Bard, the bard.google.com or ChatGPT and other front end that you're seeing, the chat experience is more consumer facing, wherein you are looking to get an email written or plan for a trip, or search on a code or something like that, which is a consumer facing app. As the AI models are trained with more and more data that you push to the model, the models become more and more intelligent, but you are helping these models, ChatGPT, Bard, and others of the world, to improve. And that is the consumer side of the business. But when you talk about the enterprise side, that data is the most important priority for all of the enterprises. You do not want your data to be used for training a model that is Google's or somebody else's. And therefore, we have Gen AI platform exposed via Google Cloud, Vertex AI. People who are not aware of Vertex AI, I just wanted to bring in a quick insight there. Vertex AI is the one-stop shop for all AI and ML related things on Google Cloud. I'm going to show you a demo on how you can access these models in a few minutes as well. So again, Bard and Maker Suite for your consumer facing, wherein data is not your top priority. Of course, data is, but this is a consumer facing app, just like Google Search or Google Maps or YouTube, where your data that you type in or you interact may be utilized. But enterprise is your data, your control, and all the APIs that you use in Vertex AI via Google Cloud is not going to be utilized. So this is how we differentiate. Consumer is the Bard and the Macro Maker. Enterprise Google Workspace and Enterprise Google Cloud are those services which are not exposed, or Google does not use any of your data or whatever you ping or ask questions of that data. It is highly secured environment, and For all of the use cases that you're doing, you're definitely looking at enterprise or the Vertex AI. Of course, you can use Macro Maker or Bard, but enterprise is where you have more data security. So this is how it looks like in the backend. PaLM 2 for all the models that I'm going to talk about in a few seconds. Cody for code generation, and Imagen for images. So these are few foundation models, the models that are forming the base. We call it as a foundation model. Now they power the consumer, the Bard, and the maker suite, Macro Maker, the workspace, as well as Vertex. And from the Vertex AI, this is our focus today. We have PaLM API models. Example, text bison. Now, the name of the model has an animal name associated with it. And the size of the animal indicates the size of the model. Interesting, right? Think about Android, right? You had uh, different names of chocolates indicating this version of the Android. For the models in Gen AI, the size of the model are indicated by the animals. So bison, gecko are the two most commonly used. Unicorn is coming up. So this is how we named it. Now let's look at all the models. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to look at the slide bottom up, and then we are going to walk you through. All right. Now, if you look at the infrastructure, how do you run this? Are the GPUs and TPUs enabled to help you execute your Gen AI or AI workloads? TPUs, GPUs, most likely you know it, but TPUs is tensor processing unit, chips specifically made for AI ML workloads that is only available on Google Cloud Platform. So utilize TPUs. Now, foundation models, the base models that execute a use case or help you execute one or multiple use cases are foundation models. We have foundation models for text, chat, code, images, videos, audio. There are different models. We are going to look at all of these models in a few seconds on the Google console. Now, these foundation models are encapsulated in Vertex AI, via Vertex AI. You can access that via Vertex AI. Model Garden is one place where you get a list of all the Gen AI models that are available on Google Cloud. That includes these foundation models, plus open source models like Stable Diffusion, BERT, Lambda, and others. And then you have Generative AI Studio, which provides you a UI interface to test your prompts, to see how the model reacts, and tune your prompts based on your data. We're going to walk you through in a few seconds. And then you have GenAI APIs for you to write code, integrate with other applications, create a complete end-to-end applications. So Model Garden, the list of all the models available. You have Generative AI Studio, where you can create prompts and test your prompts and see outputs. You have Generative AI APIs for you to integrate with other applications. Most likely, you're going to use the Vertex AI for your hackathon. Now, Google is known to be user-friendly, and there are a lot of drag and drop options, and therefore, one layer of abstraction above Vertex AI is your Gen AI app builder. You have enterprise search and conversation AI like a chatbot through click and deploy model. So enterprise search and conversation AI are the two click and deploy abstraction layer which can help you build your use cases. For now, we are going to ignore the contact center AI on the top, document AI, and other business user driven applications. So if you look at from a perspective of persona of AI practitioners or ML developers. You're going to be looking at foundation models and Vertex AI. Now, let me do a quick walkthrough of how you can access those. Okay, so when you go to Google Cloud Console, you would search for Vertex AI. Vertex AI, as I said, is one-stop shop for all of your AI ML use cases. So you have dashboards. Please make yourself familiar with it. Within the Vertex AI, you have Model Garden. Model Garden, as I said, provides you a list of foundation models that are available to you. Now, let's look at different types of models. PaLM 2 for text. I'm going to give you specific use case directions on when to use PaLM 2 for text. And the name of the model is textbison@001. PaLM 2 for chat, chat bison. This is used for chat. It stores conversation history from the session so that you can interact in a contextful manner. You have embeddings for text. Many of you must not have heard embeddings. Embeddings means converting text to numerics. AI models are basically, at the end of the mathematical equations. So they are able to convert. You need to convert the text to numerics for the AI models to be able to respond back to you easily. You have Chirp, you have other models which are open source, but then you have Cody for code completion. This is again one of the foundation models from Google where it can help you complete an unfinished code. So you can write a code, and if you're struggling with a loop or some snippet that you want this code to complete, it can help you complete your existing code. You can also use Code Bison. So notice here, gecko, the size of the animal, gecko is smaller than bison. That means that the model Cody for code generation is bigger, heavier than compared to code gecko for code completion. And then you have Cody for code chat. You can use this model to chat with the model itself to see if a code works better for others. And again, there are all other different types of models that are available. Now, let's talk about the Gen AI Studio. If you scroll down on the list, on the left-hand side, you have obviously the workbench that provides you a notebook like a Jupyter Lab notebook. In Generative AI Studio, you have different options. You may not see all three, or you may see one or two. You have language, click on open. This, as I said, recall that Generative AI Studio provides you an interface where you can build your prompts. Now, because the way you prompt Bard or Palm in this case, or the way you prompt a chat GPT or any other OpenAI or NVIDIA or any other model is different. Google has provided you a lot of examples on how you want to prompt these models. The use cases provided already are chat, summarization. You want to summarize a chat summary or call summary or a dialogue, then classification. And I'm going to cover this in our prompt design section too. Extraction, question answering, and all. Now, if you open this, one example, for example, here you have transcript summary. Click on open. And this is an example which is already provided to you. These are few examples that is used to train the model. And at the bottom of the screen, there is an example for testing. That means it doesn't have an output. I'm going to cover this in the next session. You see the model text bison. you can use other models as you wish. But text Bison is what can be used for this particular example of transcript summary. And as soon as you select, we're going to cover this all temperature and token in the next session on the prompt. So look at that. This input was summarized in these few 5 or 7 lines. Now, once you have used this, for example, you can create your own prompts. I can say create a code prompt or a text prompt. So let's create a code prompt. And if you want to say that write a Python code to determine a leap year, and then we are going to look at it more in detail. If you look at it, automatically the code Bison got selected because I clicked on code prompt, but you can switch it to text Bison if you wish. And then keeping everything default for now, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that a Python code is generated. So you could evaluate prompts and how do you prompt, what are your examples, how good or bad the model is. Once you're happy with it, you can deploy the code by just clicking on view code. It gives you the code that you have written with the project. This is the name of the project, the location, you have what the prompt value is, and you can copy this and deploy it and integrate it with the third-party application or any third-party applications. So this is the VertexAI Gen AI APIs. Now I'm going to quickly touch base upon different kinds of models that exist. We discussed about PaLM for text, PaLM for chat, Imagen for text, embeddings, chirp, and code generation. All of them are in GA. Ignore the slide is a little outdated, but all of these models are available for you. I think Imagen is still not open publicly, but all other models are available for you to use. In the last call, Sagar talked about different types of resources, different useful resources that you can use. I'm going to share this slide as well. GenAI documentation, official documentation is here. This is an official GitHub repo. I have also created a GitHub for some use cases. I have videos associated with it as well. And there are some other GitHub repos. These are the resources that Sagar shared in our previous kickoff call. And we are going to share this with you for you to be able to play around and have a lot of code snippets and examples to go with. Now, let us all understand that how these models can be accessed. When you run or when you make a request goes to a frozen model like a PaLM or text, code, chat, others, and the data in flight is encrypted, and the data back from the model to your UI or API is also encrypted. So request and response, both ends are encrypted. If you are using Google Cloud Console, the enterprise version of VertexAI, Google assures you and guarantees you that you are not exposing any custom company secret or any kind of data to Google at all. It's all in your premise, in your control. Now, with this, I'm going to tell you when to use what. Text Bison, you're going to use when you have classification, sentiment analytics, summarization, Q&A. In most of the cases, Text Bison performs well. You can definitely try other models too. For embeddings, you have text embeddings Gecko. For chat kind of a thing, you have Chat Bison. For coding, you have Code Bison. And there are 3 different types of code models. code completion, code chat, and generate code. So generate code is code bison, chat is code chat bison, and code gecko is for code completion or very specific code snippets. And each model are have their max input and output tokens defined. This screenshot is a little bit dated. The training data is, of course, stretched beyond. It's definitely not Feb 2023 anymore. Now, with that said, we have 5 to 6 minutes remaining. I'm ready to take questions, if any. Katie or team?
Okay, yeah, that was awesome, Naresh. Thank you. There are a couple questions I see in here. The first one says, how can I feed a custom data set for the model so that I don't need to provide context data every time I send a request?
Sorry, I missed that question again.
Okay,
My bad.
so it's how can I feed a custom data set for the model so that I don't need to provide context data every time I send a request?
Yeah. So there are two answers to your question, and I see that now. So Afif is the person asking that question. There are two ways. Number one is I'll go back and show it to you. Number one is you could feed the data in this code, for example, here in a data frame or provide a context. That's option number one. That means you are continuing to use the base foundation model, and then you're adding more context on top of it once. Other method is the tuning of the model itself. So when you go to GenAI language, there is a tuning. You could tune a model on your data, and that model is then going to be available as an API for you to consume. So two options. You either tune the context once and deploy that as an API and keep it running, or if the context and the example is not working for you, you could look at model tuning itself, and the option for model tuning is right here. So you provide a model name, you could pick up a base model. Text Bison for now is the only one being tuned, and then you could provide the data, the storage data, and you can tune your own model. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that's great. And there's one other question in the chat. And this one says, which model is best to train data, like training BigCommerce API documentation, and how do you train that?
So Jignesh, good question. So it depends on the use case. As I said, and let me bring this slide up back. If you are using or if you're trying to train or you have a use case on classification or entity extraction or concept ideation or summarization, I would recommend you to use TextByson and train it. In the next session for prompt training, I'm going to cover this in detail. And then if you want to prompt train, so you can model train only TextByson, the tuning model, but you can prompt train any of these models that are available. Let us see in the next section on the prompt engineering. I hope, Jignesh, that answers your question. Depends on the use case, and you can model train only TextByson, but context train any of the models there.
Okay, awesome. And if any of those questions weren't fully answered, it kind of seems like they were, but if you don't feel like you got the answer that you need, feel free to drop those questions in the Slack. We're all there, and so we can be sure to get any questions answered or any clarification needed, anything like that. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up, Naresh?
Yeah, so one thing that I would recommend all of you, rather than going directly to tuning a model, I would say context tune a model. So that is what we are going to discuss in the next session. Context setting is one of the most important things in prompt engineering. And I'm going to take this question as well. Can I set predefined prompts on the chat bison? Yes, you could set predefined prompts on the chat bison. I'm assuming that you're asking that you need few parameters before you want to answer any questions. I'm just giving you an example. If you are wanting to recommend a person a laptop, you want to find out what and how this person is going to use a laptop, and what are the use cases, or how heavy is it, just for browsing or gaming or coding, or what is the use case on the laptop. So you could ask and set those pre-prompts, and then ask the question to the user to be able to recommend products, if per se, to the user. Daniel, that is the question that I understood. If it's different, we can definitely talk again.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Naresh. We're bumping right up against time. Thank you for this. If anyone has any other questions, obviously feel free to drop them into chat. And stay tuned. We're jumping right into another section with Sagar from Google, and it's going to be a good one too. So thank you so much, Naresh, and we'll see the rest of you in the next session.